Hi everyone, let's start our Kubernetes course 0 to Hero. Hi everyone, let's start our new course on Kubernetes 0 to Hero. My name is Anshuman Singh and I am your mentor for this course. Let's start the journey of Kubernetes. So, Kubernetes is easy. Why I am saying this first? Because people think like Kubernetes is a very advanced and tough topic, but actually the Kubernetes concepts are very interesting. And this course is also I have designed in a way that we will be doing more and more labs only. So by the end of this course, everybody who is our viewer will able to do any type of troubleshooting, any type of problem when Kubernetes when he need to start the Kubernetes journey. So this is the overall architecture of Kubernetes. So if you can see, there are one master component and there is one worker component. So in Kubernetes there are two things. First is master, second is worker. In master we have four main components. First is etcd, second is API server, third is scheduler, fourth is control manager. Same wise in worker node we have kube proxy, kubelet, and one more component. Sometimes this you will not find in some diagrams. So this is your Docker container runtime. And there are some pods. So pod is nothing but your VMs. You can imagine like a VM. Inside your pod your containers are running, and inside your container your application is running. So if let's understand the flow in the next diagram. So this is my diagram. So suppose I am a developer, I want to create one new pod. I have a requirement of new pod, which inside which I have some XYZ application I need to run. So for that purpose, suppose I need to create one new pod. So what I will do is I will run kubectl. I will write kubectl and I will write the YAML manifest in whatever code that you are writing to create a pod in Kubernetes. It is called as manifest. So what happened here is you will write a manifest YAML file and you will run a command kubectl apply -f and the name of your YAML. So as soon as you run that command, what happens is first it goes to API server. API server will authenticate you that whether you are authenticated user or not based on your client server certificate or any type of secret or store manager you are using. So first authorization takes place through your API server, and once API server will authenticate yourself, it will send the request to your controller, and controller will be the person who will be the responsible for any new requirement or any type of management part. So API server will say, hey, the new requirement came that we need to create a new pod. So controller will say, okay, I am happy with that, I will help you to create. So API server will send the request to the scheduler. Now scheduler will be like, it will help you to schedule the pods in the worker node, either worker node 1 or worker node 2 or worker node 3. So it is the decider that which worker node your pod should be running. So scheduler is also have one more work like actual state and desired state. It will also try to maintain the actual state and desired state. So now this data scheduler will say, okay, the new requirement came, I am going to schedule this in worker node 1. Assume that this is your worker node 1 and this is worker node 2. So what happens is scheduler will say, okay, I am happy, you can create your pod in worker node 1. It will send the request to API server. Now API server will call etcd. Now API server will call your etcd. It will check whether this particular configuration file I have or not. If the same type of content is there, so it will update in the etcd. If not, it will create a new manifest in their etcd folder and it will store the manifest. Etcd is nothing but your key value store, your configuration related, your all type of sensitive data are stored in etcd. So we need to make sure that the communication also between API server and etcd should be encrypted. It should be communication is happening through TLS certificate only. Also etcd is like none of the password should be stored in the plain text, any type of data. So we need to very ensure that this is a very crucial. It contains all of your metadata, all of your configuration, all of your secret. Now as soon as scheduler decided to schedule the pod 1 or worker node 1, it will send a request to API server. API server will go and talk to the kubelet. Kubelet is nothing but it's your manager of worker node. It will be managing whether pods are healthy or pods are dead or pods are destroyed or any type of health check. Kubelet will maintain it. And also kubelet is the first person. If anything happens with the pod, it will immediately reply to the API server, and API server will then talk to the scheduler and ask scheduler to update the state. So scheduler is also continuously watching your pod through the communication with kubelet via API server. API server is nothing but the front end for your Kubernetes. Now as soon as your pods are scheduled, there is one more thing, is kube proxy or network proxy. As the name suggests, it will give you the network proxy related thing. In one line, if I need to say you that pod is nothing but your IP address. This kube proxy will assign IP address to each of your pods, so that remember that Kubernetes or API server or kubelet will not talk to the container or your application. They only talk to the pod. Inside your pod, any type of container like your Docker, your cryo.o, yeah, container D, any type of container framework it supports. So that's why this is the benefit of Kubernetes, that you can run any type of container inside your pod, not only Docker, but we have 90% of chances like we are using Docker. That's why we are saying any type of container. But we have containerd, cryo.io, there are a lot of other container, Rocket. So as soon as this request is fulfilled, we have one kube proxy, that is our network IP, which will connect it to your load balancer, and then load balancer will expose that IP to your publicly, and then your users are able to access the application. So in nutshell, API is your heart of your Kubernetes. What it will do, it will all type of communication, authentication happens through here only, and controller will manages any type of new request, any type of new requirement came, controller will be the responsible person. Scheduler will maintain the state and decide which worker node the pod should be running, and it is a deciding factor. Also etcds contain your metadata related thing, your configuration, your data store, and etcd is distributive. It comes from your Linux. We have etc/parswd, etc/shadowd. Same wise we have etcd. It's a distributor. One will contain your configuration, one will contain your secret related thing, one will contain configuration management thing. So all type of data is here. And kubelet is nothing but your communicator between your API server and your pod, whether your pods are healthy, up or in a destroy state or any health check related thing, kubelet will manage you. And Docker runtime, as suggested, like this is your container which is running inside your pod. And the kube proxy, as suggested, kube proxy is nothing but your IP address which is used to assign to the pod for communication, like ingress, egress, firewall rule, DNS rule, any type of thing here assigned to the pod. So I hope you understand the architecture. Let's jump to the practical part. Thanks for watching.